What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw Forward TV. All right. So before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to Evan Finnegan for the donation to the channel via the PayPal. All right. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw Forward TV. So he asked a question. And his question was, I was wondering if you could do a video talking about whether you think Steve Kerr should be in the Hall of Fame as a head coach. Well, this is the thing, man. No matter how we feel about Steve Kerr's abilities as a head coach, no matter how we might feel as to his aptitude and abilities as a head coach compared to some of the all-time proven greats like Red Auerbach, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, I would throw in, somebody like Red Holtzman, and some of the others. His accomplishments warrant him being in the Hall of Fame as a head coach first ballot. I mean, you can't overlook these things. You just can't. Like, we can make arguments about his abilities, but his accomplishments. This is the thing. On the one hand, we can try to say that, look, man, Steve Kerr won championships because he coached stacked teams, which is very true. But then we'll make an argument that, well, Robert Horry should be in the Hall of Fame because he has 7 championships. But the 7 championships are a team accomplishment. It's not like Robert Horry went out there, put a team on his back, a la Kobe, a la Jordan, a la whatever, Shaq, and not necessarily one man team, but was the definite cog that, you know what I'm saying? We can't forget the fact that Robert Horry played with Akeem Olajuwon, played with Clyde Drexler, played with Kobe Bryant, played with Shaquille O'Neal, played with Tim Duncan, played with Manu Ginobili, played with Tony Parker, played with Steve Kerr. Well, no, he didn't. He didn't play with Steve Kerr. I take it back. He didn't play with Steve Kerr. Kerr wasn't there in 05 or 07. But you get my point. So, this is the thing. Look at his resume as a coach. 4-time NBA champion. NBA Coach of the Year in 2015, 2016. Twice NBA All-Star Game head coach. Voted one of the top 15 coaches in NBA history. Won the Olympic gold medal just a few weeks ago in Paris in the 2024 Olympics. Was an assistant coach on the 2020 team in Tokyo Olympics, won a gold medal. Won a FIBA's World Championship, but that's as a player, so I can't include that. So his resume as a head coach is almost non-pareil. But at the same time, I do believe there are legitimate criticisms about Steve Kerr as an X's and O's guy. You know what I mean? Like, look, it's pretty much common knowledge, even though some people say we say it ad nauseum, but it's common knowledge that Mark Jackson at least put together the pieces for what ultimately became the Warriors dynasty. Okay? Mark Jackson put that team together. Steve Kerr, you can argue, made some refinements, but Mark Jackson put that team together. Now, I think one of the biggest indictments of Steve Kerr as a great coach is during the 2015-16 season, when he took a leave of absence because of the back injuries and the back surgery, and the illness. And what happened? Luke Walton, who is not noted as a brilliant basketball mind, took over for Steve Kerr and had a 24-game win streak as a head coach. This is before Kevin Durant was added to the team. Matter of fact, when he came back, weren't they like 45-3 or 48-3 or something like that when he came back? That coaching team. So that shows you that you could replace some. You could put anybody in that situation. Hell, you could have put Foghorn Leghorn. You could have put Foghorn Leghorn as the coach. I say, get a ball to steal Stephen Curry out there. Curry, Cardell, that is, Wardell, with the ball in his hand. And don't be a chicken hawk, son. Don't be a chicken hawk. When it comes to shooting the ball, son, yeah. I mean, you could have put anybody as head coach, and they still would have won 60 games. Now contrast that to the job that Phil Jackson made, losing Michael Jeffrey Jordan on a team that was far from a super team, and still, with his brilliant coaching staff, figuring out a way to win close ball games by the margin of errors, by the simplest of margins, and reducing their margin of their errors on the offensive end, and somehow winning 55 games. I still think Phil Jackson won Coach of the Year in '94. And you can make an argument that hell. I mean, well, I'll get that point in a moment. But yeah, even whenever you didn't have Steph Curry, who is like almost an automatic game cheat at times, when he didn't have a super team, when he didn't have all the personnel, and he was actually uh, challenged to coach on an X's and O's basis, he often lost. He got outcoached. When the playing field was even, he got outcoached. Remember when he didn't have super teams in 2020 and 2021? Hell, there were some years that they didn't even win 30 games. Remember all those games when Curry wasn't there, when Klay Thompson was injured, and you know what I'm saying, he actually had to try to coach, and they would get blown the hell out by the first quarter and halftime. What was all the great coaching brilliance then? It wasn't there. He's not an imbecile, but he's not a brilliant tactician. He's not. And then I mean, look, if you got Steph Curry, a guy that can make a shot from Tokyo, well, hell, that can outdo a lot of your coaching miscalculations. You know what I'm saying? Another thing, to be honest with you, you can make an argument that Steve Kerr has been like the Forrest Gump of the NBA. He's always been in the right place in the right time. Because honestly, we could argue intestinal fortitude and toughness and all that, but what's the difference between Tim Legler and Steve Kerr? If you put Tim Legler in that situation, maybe Tim Legler's whole history would have been different. Steve Kerr had the good fortune, the great fortune, of playing with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and being coached by Phil Jackson. And then playing with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, being coached by Greg Popovich. In '99, and then again in 2003. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely benefited from playing with and coaching some of the greatest players of all time. And then the last but not least, he has shown an inability to develop talent. He can't do it. There have been other, somewhat good players or really good talent that have played with the Warriors, and they have not thrived because he only knows one way to play, and that's Curry ball. Well, the coach, excuse me, and that's Curry ball. And I do believe that as Steph Curry ages or retires, whatever happens, uh, Steve Kerr is going to probably start being more and more exposed, but the media is going to ignore it because of his resume. But that's how I look at it. Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. We can't question it. But from an X and O strategy, no, he doesn't match up with someone. Another point, another way to prove my point to the layman, to the casual. If they were to look at, say, certain coaches' records, like Bill Fitch, who had a losing record, he only won 46% of his games as a coach. You would make the assumption that he wasn't a great coach. But in reality, if you look at Bill Fitch and how he took on a challenge of trying to turn around terrible franchise, and he always succeeded. He always succeeded in turning around bad franchise, whether it's the Cavaliers, whether it's the Clippers in the 90s, whether it's the Houston Rockets in the 80s, whether it's, the New Jersey Nets. He turned around bad franchises. But as a consequence of that, he lost more games than he won, but he improved everywhere he went. And then the one time he did coach a champion, he had such a profound effect on that great player, who was Larry Bird. And Larry Bird said, and he'll say it today, that the best coach he ever had was Bill Fitch. Bill Fitch's style wouldn't work today. He was a drill sergeant, if not mistaken, in the Army. But Larry Bird led that what was then a record turnaround for the Boston Celtics. The year before that, they went 29-53. His first year, they went 61-21 and went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. But part of that turnaround was the great coaching of Bill Fitch. But part of Bill Fitch's problem was he was a very demonstrative person who often clashed with management. And that's partially why he sometimes didn't last very long. But anyway, that's just a little bit of my opinion on this. Tell me what you guys think.